My name is Daniel Brooks. I'm 41 years old, and for the past 20 years, I've poured concrete foundations for other men's dreams. Skyscrapers, shopping malls, fancy office towers, all built on sweat like mine. I'd come home with my hands cracked, my back screaming, my clothes stiff with dust. It was hard work, honest work. I used to tell myself it mattered, that when I was gone, at least something I'd built would still stand tall against the sky. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and keep watching, because the best part's coming up next. But all that pride meant nothing compared to what I thought I had waiting for me at home. Marissa. I met her when I was 21. She was 20, working the express checkout at the Safeway on Meridian Street. I was dead on my feet after a 12-hour shift, grabbing a six-pack, when she smiled at me like I was worth noticing. That smile, God, it could have melted steel beams. She scribbled her number on the back of my receipt and said, "Call me." I get off at 9. I still remember how tight my chest felt just hearing her laugh. Those early years? They were golden. We had nothing but each other, but that was enough. We'd sit on the fire escape of her tiny apartment, drinking cheap wine, dreaming big. She wanted to matter, to live a life that was more than scraping by. I promised her I'd build it for us, brick by brick if I had to. She kissed me like she believed I could, and for a long time I thought we really could do anything together. We got married at the courthouse. No big ceremony, no frills. Just her in a sundress from Target and me in my father's old suit, shoulders pulling against the seams. Our honeymoon was a weekend at a little motel by the coast, Chinese takeout on the bed, watching the sunset through thin curtains. She told me it was perfect. She told me I was perfect. For years I believed her. The first house we bought was a run-down wreck in a rough neighborhood. Gunshots weren't unusual at night, but it was ours. I spent every weekend covered in sawdust and sweat, rebuilding that place from the ground up. Drywall, floors, paint, you name it. I fixed it. Marissa would sit on a paint bucket, telling me about her day at the office. She started as a receptionist, but had this fire in her, always reaching for more. I was proud of her. I wanted her to have everything. But around year 10, something in her shifted. The reaching turned into grasping. Suddenly, she was comparing everything we had to what other people had. Linda's Lexus, her sister's trips to Cabo, the designer labels on the other wives at company events. "I'm not complaining," she'd say, which always meant she was. "I just think we could be doing better." That's when Elliot Crane entered the picture, my boss. He showed up at a 4th of July barbecue, tall and polished, silver at the temples, wearing confidence like a second skin. He could talk stocks, wine vintages, vacations in Tuscany. Marissa's eyes followed him around the party like he was the sun. That night, as she undressed for bed, she said, "Now that's a successful man. Did you see his watch? A real Rolex, Daniel." I told her I didn't need a Rolex to know what time it was. She laughed, but it wasn't the sweet laugh from Safeway. This one was sharp, with edges that cut. Little by little, Marissa became someone else. She started spending money we didn't have on creams and salon appointments. When I asked about the bills, she brushed me off. "I'm investing in myself, Daniel." "Maybe you should try it sometime." I'd stare at my reflection after those arguments. The gray in my beard, the crow's feet, the stoop in my shoulders from years of labor. But I also saw the man who built her a home, who remembered every anniversary, who always brought yellow roses because they were her favorite. Then her phone started buzzing at night. She'd grab it like a lifeline, her face glowing with a smile that had nothing to do with me. From there, it all went downhill. Late meetings, team-building retreats, girls' nights that ended at 2 in the morning, reeking of cologne I didn't wear. She criticized everything about me, how I chewed, how I dressed, how I'd settled for mediocrity. Mediocre. That word. It was a knife she twisted without flinching. I started noticing lingerie I hadn't bought. Credit card charges at restaurants I'd never been to. I asked once about a $60 lunch at Chez Laurent. She didn't even flinch. Work thing. Elliot needed to discuss my performance review, I knew then. I knew. But I didn't want to believe it. Until the night I did. The Carlson job wrapped up early one Friday. The guys wanted beers, but I thought I'd surprise Marissa instead. Picked up her favorite chicken marsala, bought yellow roses even though they were $30 now. I pulled up to the house. Her car was in the driveway. Elliot's BMW parked across the street like he thought that made it subtle. I heard them before I even hit the stairs. Marissa's laughter, bright and free, like I hadn't heard it in years. Our bed springs creaking in a rhythm that gutted me. I climbed the stairs anyway, because I needed to know. The door was ajar. I heard her voice, breathless but clear. God, you don't know what it's like living with him. He's nothing but a neutered dog, loyal, boring, too weak to ever fight back. He still thinks love is enough. Elliot laughed. The pathetic devotion is almost admirable. Meanwhile, I've been his wife for 8 months and he hasn't noticed. They laughed together. At me. Every flower I'd bought, every wall I'd painted, every night I came home broken just to provide. It all collapsed under their laughter. I filmed them. 12 minutes of betrayal and cruelty. Then I left the roses on the counter, the food in the fridge, and walked to the garage. That's where the Daniel who believed in love died. For 3 weeks, I pretended I didn't know. I watched her text him under the sheets. I watched her put on the mask of a faithful wife. And in those 3 weeks, I planned. I set up cameras in the bedroom, downloaded every email, every text, every receipt. I cleaned my Glock, not to kill them, just to remind them the neutered dog still had teeth. Friday came, their usual day. Elliot told his wife he was at the golf course. Marissa told me she had a late meeting. By 6:15, they were tangled in my sheets. By 6:20, I was standing in the doorway. I didn't yell, didn't cry. I just set my phone on the dresser and hit record. Keep laughing, I said. Elliot scrambled off the bed, pale and shaking. Marissa clutched the sheets, begging, Daniel, I can explain. No need, I said. I heard everything 3 weeks ago. The neutered dog line was clever. I tossed the Glock onto the bed, not pointing it, just letting it sit there. A reminder. Like what you see? Click like, hit subscribe, and stay tuned. Let's keep going. Then I dragged Elliot up by his throat. 20 years of lifting concrete gave me strength he couldn't match. One punch broke his nose, another shattered his teeth. By the 5th, he was curled on the floor, choking on blood. Marissa was screaming, mascara streaking down her face. Please, Daniel, stop. Please, I told them both the truth. Everything was recorded. Their texts, their emails, their little rendezvous, their careers, their reputations, their lives. They were in my hands now. Then I pulled out the gas can. Marissa's sobs turned to shrieks as I splashed gasoline over the bed, the clothes, the carpet stained with Elliot's blood. Elliot whispered, You're insane. No, I said, striking a match. I'm done. I gave them 30 seconds to run. Marissa clutched the sheet, Elliot stumbling behind her, naked and broken. When they were gone, I dropped the match. The flames roared up, devouring 20 years of lies. I walked out calmly, picked up the packed bags I'd hidden in the garage, and stepped outside as the fire climbed to the second floor. The neighbors watched Marissa and Elliot run across the lawn, naked, screaming. Phones came out, sirens wailed, but I just stood there. Watching it all burn felt like breathing free air for the first time in years. 6 months later, I live in a small apartment. Half the size of the house I burned, but twice as peaceful. The insurance company blamed faulty wiring. They cut me a $300,000 check. I kept my half. Donated Marissa's half to a women's shelter, just for the irony. Marissa tried to come back once, showed up crying, begging, saying it was all a mistake. I sent her the video of her calling me a neutered dog and laughing with Elliot. "Show this to your parents," I texted her. "Show them why your life fell apart." She never contacted me again. Elliot's wife got her own package. Videos, receipts, emails. She divorced him, ruined him in court, and sent everything to his company's board. Last I heard, he was selling insurance in Ohio, living in a studio. The Rolex was long gone. The guys from my crew still buy me beers, slap me on the back, call me a legend. They don't know the whole truth, but they know enough. That sometimes a man gets pushed too far, and the only way forward is to burn it all down. I don't date. Don't trust myself to know real love from a lie. But I'm not bitter, just careful. I've learned dignity matters more than harmony, that love isn't enough if it only flows one way, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop fixing what someone else is determined to break. My apartment is simple. No pictures, no memories, just tools, work clothes, and a bed that's never been stained by betrayal. Some nights, I still hear Marissa's laugh from 20 years ago, the sweet one from Safeway. I wake up and remind myself that girl never really existed. She was just better at pretending back then. People in town know. They say it was faulty wiring, but everyone knows. They don't look at me with pity anymore. They look at me with respect. Respect for the man who didn't just take it, the man who made them pay. Call it revenge. Call it justice. I call it necessary, because I may have lost everything else. But I kept my pride, and I made damn sure their laughter never echoed through my walls again. Honestly, stories like this hit hard because they show how much pride and love can get twisted by betrayal. It's a brutal reminder that sometimes the people we trust most can become strangers. And standing up for yourself, even if it means burning down your past, is an act of reclaiming dignity. It's messy, painful, and far from perfect justice. But maybe that's the real cost of moving on. What matters is knowing your worth and refusing to be the victim of someone else's lies. If you found this story powerful or thought-provoking, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that dive deep into life's raw truths. And I want to hear from you. What would you do if you were in Daniel's shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk.